Have you ever wondered what it truly meant when God asked Noah to build an ark? Not just as a vessel to save his family and the animals, but as a divine message wrapped in mystery and purpose. Imagine for a moment a man living in a world where corruption and despair were everywhere, yet God spoke directly to him with a mission that seemed impossible. Noah didn't just hear the instructions, he felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. And yet, he trusted, he obeyed, he acted in faith before the storm even came. Hello, my dear friend, and welcome. I am truly glad you are here with me today. If you are new to this channel, please take a moment to subscribe to Aletheia Insight and turn on the notifications so you never miss these divine messages. Before we go deeper, I invite you to comment right now the phrase I receive in the comments section as a declaration of your faith. This simple act of engagement invites the Spirit to move in your life as you listen today. Noah's story is familiar to most, yet there is so much more hidden in its depths. What we often see is a man building a massive boat and surviving a global flood, but beneath the surface lies a story of trust, obedience, and revelation. Think about it. God instructed Noah to build something enormous, made entirely by hand, with specific measurements that would make modern engineers pause. It wasn't just about the physical structure. It was about Noah's heart and his willingness to obey God against the world's ridicule. How often do we feel God calling us to do something that seems too big, too impossible, or simply ridiculous to others? And yet, in those moments, God is testing more than our skill or our patience. He is testing our faith, our focus, and our willingness to align completely with His divine will. When God first spoke to Noah, the world was not a gentle place. Corruption had spread like wildfire, violence had become ordinary, and greed and selfishness blinded human hearts. But Noah found favor in God's eyes, Genesis 6-8. Imagine the courage it took to stand apart from a world spiraling into chaos. In your own life, there may be moments when it feels like everything is falling apart around you. The news, the pressures of work, family struggles, personal challenges, it can feel overwhelming, but God's call is always personal. Just as He called Noah, He is calling you. He sees your heart, your faithfulness, and your willingness to obey. And when you respond, even in small ways, the course of your life can change in ways you cannot imagine. I want you to hold on to that thought as we journey together through Noah's untold story. This isn't a story just for children or a tale about floods and animals. It is a story for anyone seeking to understand God's heart and His ways. Proverbs 18:12 reminds us that before a downfall the heart is haughty, but humility comes before honor. Noah walked in humility, and that humility became the vessel of his honor, both in God's eyes and in the legacy that continues even today. When you encounter God's instructions, no matter how unusual or difficult they seem, remember that humility is your key to alignment. Trust that God's guidance is perfect, even if it doesn't make sense in the world's logic. Let's take a closer look at the ark itself. God didn't leave it to chance. He gave exact dimensions: 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. Every detail mattered. It is easy for us to overlook the symbolism in these measurements, but they reflect divine precision and order amidst chaos. In the same way, God calls us to bring order to our own lives, not through force or sheer willpower, but through obedience and faith. Isaiah 43:19 says, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it?" Noah perceived what others could not. He saw the new beginning God was preparing, and in his obedience, he became a part of something miraculous, a story that would echo through generations. I want you to think about your own ark today. Perhaps it is a project you feel God is asking you to start, a relationship you need to heal, or a decision that requires courage and trust. The world may not understand your actions. People may laugh, question, or criticize. Noah faced the same skepticism, yet he didn't turn back. He didn't delay. He acted faithfully, believing that God's plan was bigger than his immediate circumstances. Matthew 6:33 teaches us, "But seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." When we prioritize God's call above all else, when we choose faith over fear, provision and protection follow in ways beyond our comprehension. Now, I want you to take a moment. If you haven't already, comment "I believe" in the chat or comment section right now. Let that declaration rise from your heart and affirm your trust in God. As you continue listening, imagine yourself standing beside Noah, feeling the magnitude of the task before him, and yet knowing deep in your spirit that God's presence was with him every step of the way. Noah's obedience was not just a physical act, it was a spiritual testimony. He built an ark while living among people who were blind to God's warnings. Can you imagine the ridicule he must have endured? And yet, his focus never wavered. Hebrews 11:7 reminds us, by faith Noah, when warned about things not yet seen, in holy fear built an ark to save his family. By his faith, he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness that is in keeping with faith. This verse encapsulates the essence of Noah's journey. It wasn't the wood, the nails, or the animals that saved the day. It was faith. Faith that trusted God's promises even when reality looked impossible. And this brings us to a profound truth. The ark represents God's provision and protection in the midst of chaos. It was a lifeboat in a world drowning in sin and corruption. And God's protection is not always dramatic, flashy, or immediately visible. Often, it requires trust, patience, and obedience. Just as Noah couldn't see the flood coming for many years, we may not see the challenges ahead or understand why. God is asking us to take certain steps, but He is always working behind the scenes, orchestrating circumstances that we cannot yet perceive. Psalm 91:4 tells us, "He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness would be your shield and rampart." I want to ask you, are you ready to step into your own ark? Are you ready to obey, even when it feels uncomfortable, inconvenient, or impossible? The world may scoff, just as it did in Noah's time, but your faithfulness will become your testimony. Every act of obedience, no matter how small, contributes to a larger story that God is weaving in your life. And just as Noah's story has inspired countless generations, your story has the potential to inspire and bring hope to those around you. As we continue, I want you to remember that obedience is always paired with trust. Noah didn't build the ark for recognition, for personal gain, or to prove a point. He built it because God asked him to. And in doing so, he secured the future for his family and the entire human race. Proverbs 16:3 says, "Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans." When you commit fully to God's instructions, no matter how difficult, He ensures that your efforts are fruitful. He aligns circumstances, opens doors, and provides resources you may not even anticipate. Now, consider the timeline of Noah's obedience. It took years to build the ark, years of labor, dedication, and faith. During this time, the world around him continued its downward spiral, yet Noah remained steadfast. This teaches us patience and perseverance. Trusting God's timing is crucial. He does not rush, nor is He late. Ecclesiastes 3:1 reminds us, "There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens." The flood came precisely at God's appointed time, and Noah's years of preparation ensured that he and his family were ready. In your life, the periods of preparation, though long and sometimes exhausting, are exactly what equip you for what lies ahead. Now, I invite you to like this video if you feel inspired by Noah's faith and obedience. Let this simple action be a symbol of your commitment to remain faithful in your own journey. And as you do, remember that your engagement encourages this channel to continue delivering spiritual insights that transform lives. Every like, every comment, and every share helps to spread the message of hope and faith. Just as Noah's obedience spread salvation across generations, let's reflect on the symbolic lessons of the ark itself. The structure was divided into compartments. Every living creature had its place. Every resource was carefully considered. This teaches us about divine order and stewardship. God doesn't ask us to act recklessly or without planning. Faith and action go hand in hand with wisdom and foresight. Proverbs 21:5 tells us, "The plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty." Noah's diligence wasn't just practical, it was spiritual. Every plank, every nail, every layer of waterproofing reflected his obedience and faithfulness, and when the rains came, the world changed forever. Floodwaters rose, but the ark floated safely, carrying God's promises above the chaos. This is perhaps the clearest lesson for us today. God provides safety for those who obey Him, even when circumstances seem overwhelming or hopeless. Isaiah 43:2 says, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned." The flames will not set you ablaze. No matter what challenges you face, God's presence protects, guides, and sustains you. As we continue to explore Noah's untold story, remember that this isn't just history, it's prophecy, guidance, and encouragement for your life right now. You may feel surrounded by storms, pressures, or circumstances beyond your control. But just as God's hand guided Noah, His hand guides you. Psalm 23:4 says, "Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort." God's presence does not remove the valley, but it removes the fear. Noah still heard the thunder. He still felt the ark sway beneath his feet. He still waited as the rain fell day after day. But he was not abandoned. He was not forgotten. He was enclosed within God's promise. And this is where Noah's story becomes deeply personal for you and me, because many people talk about the flood, but few talk about the waiting inside the ark. After the door was shut by God Himself, Noah and his family waited. The rain did not stop immediately. The waters did not recede overnight. There were no instant answers. Only trust, only patience, only faith in the dark. There are seasons in your life when God has already closed the door behind you, but the storm has not yet passed. You've obeyed, you've prayed, you've built what He asked you to build, and still you wait. That waiting is not punishment. It is protection. It is preparation. It is God teaching you to rest even when you cannot see. The outcome. Lamentation 3:31-32 reminds us, "For no one is cast off by the Lord forever. Though He brings grief, He will show compassion. So great is His unfailing love." Inside the ark, Noah learned a powerful truth. Deliverance does not always feel dramatic in the moment. It often feels quiet, slow, and uncertain. But God was faithful every single day. And then, after many months, something remarkable happened. The rain stopped. The waters began to recede, and eventually, the ark rested on solid ground. Notice this. Noah did not rush out the moment the rain ended. He waited for God's instruction. Even after survival, Noah remained obedient. Even after victory, he listened. This teaches us humility after breakthrough. Some people obey God to get out of trouble, but Noah obeyed God even after the trouble was over. He waited for permission to step into the new world God had prepared. Genesis 8:15-16 says, "Then God said to Noah, 'Come out of the ark, you and your wife and your sons and their wives.'" What a powerful invitation. Come out. The same God who called Noah into the ark now called him out of it. And when Noah stepped onto dry ground, the first thing he did was not celebrate, not build a house, not plan the future. He worshipped. Genesis 8:20 tells us Noah built an altar to the Lord. Worship was his first response to deliverance. And here is where the untold meaning of the ark becomes clear. The ark was never just about survival. It was about relationship. It was about restoration. It was about resetting humanity's alignment with God. Then God made a covenant, a promise, a rainbow in the sky. Genesis 9:13 says, "I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and the earth." The rainbow was not a decoration. It was a declaration. It declared that judgment would not have the final word. It declared mercy. It declared hope. It declared that God is faithful to keep His promises. And just as the ark lifted Noah above the flood, God's grace lifts you above the storms of your life. Here is the deeper revelation many overlook. The ark points forward to salvation itself, a place of refuge, a covering, a door provided by God, not man. Only one door, one way, in one place of safety. And just as God shut the door of the ark, He is the one who sustains and protects those who trust Him today. God is still calling people to build not with wood and nails, but with faith, obedience, and trust. He may be calling you too. Walk away from something that no longer honors Him. Step into a purpose you feel unqualified for. Trust Him in a season where answers feel delayed. Build quietly while others doubt. Tiff, that's you. I want you to know this. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not foolish for obeying God. You are building your ark. And one day, when the storm passes, when the waiting ends, when the ground becomes firm beneath your feet, you'll see why obedience was worth it. Before we end this moment together, I want to invite you to do one final thing. If this message has spoken to your heart, comment, "I trust God" below. Let it be your declaration. Let it be your altar. And if you are walking through a storm right now, take comfort in this promise from Isaiah 26 minutes and 20 seconds. Go, my people, enter your rooms and shut the doors behind you. Hide yourselves for a little while until his wrath has passed by. God knows how to protect his people. Just like Noah, just like then, just like now. Stay faithful, stay obedient. The ark is still carrying God's promises, and you are not alone. You are not alone, and you never have been. As we bring Noah's untold story to its close, I want you to understand something deeply personal. God does not waste obedience. Every moment Noah spent building when no rain was in sight mattered. Every day you choose faith over fear, patience over panic, and obedience over comfort is being recorded in heaven. Noah stepped into a world that had been completely washed clean. The old corruption was gone, the noise was gone. What remained was silence, possibility, and responsibility. God entrusted humanity's new beginning to a man who had learned to listen, and that is the final lesson of the ark. God always entrusts new beginnings to those who listen before they leap. Genesis 9:2-1 says, "Then God blessed Noah and his sons, saying to them, 'Be fruitful, and increase in number, and fill the earth.'" This blessing was not random, it was the reward of obedience. In the same way, God is preparing blessings that will only make sense after your season of faithfulness. You may not see them yet. You may feel tired, unseen, or stretched thin. But just as the ark rested at the perfect time, your life will settle into God's promise at the right moment. Let me say this gently, but clearly. The storm you survived did not come to destroy you, it came to reposition you. Noah never returned to the old world. God never called him back to what once was. The flood was an ending, yes, but it was also an invitation into something new. And perhaps today, God is whispering the same invitation to you, not to go back, not to relive the pain, not to rebuild what he already washed away, but to move forward, to plant again, to hope again, to trust again. As we close, take a deep breath and remember Psalm 37 minutes and 23 seconds to 24. The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Though he may stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hand. You are upheld. You are guided. You are covered. Thank you for spending this sacred time with me here on Aletheia Insight. If this message strengthened your faith, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and stay connected by subscribing and turning on notifications. Until we meet again, keep building what God placed in your heart, even if no one else understands. Because one day there will. May peace surround you, may faith anchor you, and may God's promises carry you safely through every storm.